Welcome, listeners, to the Through the Sightglass, the podcast that dives deep into the fascinating world of craft beer and celebrates the incredible individuals who shape its vibrant landscape. Join us on a journey where we explore the nuances of this amazing industry and the remarkable people who contribute to its richness and diversity. Today I'm sitting down with Shelby at Odd Otter Brewing. Shelby, thanks for hanging out, friend. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
So typically we like to start off kind of like where you call hometown and how you grew up. So where'd you grow up?
I was born in Tucson, but I ended up moving up here to the Pacific Northwest to Gig Harbor, Washington in third grade, and I've pretty much lived in the Gig Harbor, Tacoma area ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Where do you rank in sibling order? Do you have siblings?
I have some half siblings. I don't even. I'm somewhere in the middle of my half siblings.
Gotcha. It's like a blended family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my sister, who's the one like I actually grew up with, she is my younger sister. So I guess if we're just counting us two.
You're the oldest?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's always a stressful role to be in.
It was chill.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. How old? So your half siblings. Was it just such a big age gap between, or just never really saw them?
They were just in like another state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes it hard to be.
So
that makes it hard to be siblings.
Yeah, but no, I actually talk to my half brother Zach every once in a while. So.
Oh, nice. Is he still in Arizona?
Where the hell is he at? He's somewhere in California right now, but he travels a decent amount. So
Gotcha.
When he's up here, I see him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, like, your family life and parents growing up, were they a big inspiration for you getting into beer? Did they drink beer at all when you were younger? Or?
No, my dad was a rum kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not really into liquor.
Yeah.
Too much. Like, liquor's all right, but no, my beer is where my heart's at. You know.
Absolutely.
My mom used to drink Bud Light. You know,
Oh, okay.
So.
The classic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, after a hard day's work, just crack open a Bud's Light. Everything's better. Yeah, obviously, I grew up Mormon. I didn't drink until in college, but I definitely enjoyed beer more than liquor. I liked the marathon of beer. Not that I drank heavy when I first started, but liquor just was a sprint. You got there so quickly, and it was like, oh, no.
And, if you, like, actually really, like, that's one of the great things about beer is, like, especially, like, lighter beers is you can drink them in quantity, and it's more of a social thing rather than like, yo, let's show up to the bar and slam some shots, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Especially as time goes on, once you hit your 30s, you're like, I don't think I need to be doing this anymore.
And my body can't take it.
Yeah, the hangovers are real. You're like, I'm not nearly as flexible. Like, my body can't just bounce back the same. Yeah, it's always fun to share like good hangover stories at the brewery. I have a couple from some of my breweries that were rough and good lessons to learn.
Oh yeah. Like you still gotta work, buddy.
Yeah. You have a job to do. I met you in middle school. Did you go to Harbor Heights? Were you?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So I don't remember maybe seeing you that much in elementary school, but so we went to the same schools all the way until we graduated.
I was at the alternative school.
Yeah, but that's literally right down the hill from Gig Harbor High School.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing. It was probably, even better. You didn't have as much judgment,
Oh, no, alternative school was sick.
Yeah. So after high school, I feel like for a lot of your art and how hard you've worked at that has definitely translated for you into beer. How did you get started into craft beer?
Well, I guess, how did I get into drinking craft beer? Or
that's actually a better way to start. Like, do you remember your first beer that you were like, I want to learn more about this. I want to learn the process behind it.
So the first beer that I had that really made me be like, whoa, what is this? Like, I didn't know beer could be anything other than,
Bud Light,
whatever. What my parents drank, It was like I was at a party and my buddy showed up with a 6-pack of Total Domination by Ninkasi, and
That's a rough intro too. I'm not saying it's bad, but that's crazy step.
It was like, so I'm like, he's like, hey man, you can drink one of these and get just as drunk if you drank like 2 of these beers. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm game. Like I'll give it a shot. So
that sounds efficient.
Take a little sip, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Holy shit, man! That is, oh my god,
so aggressive.
Like, damn. But then I was like, sip. That I could see liking this. This is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like my intro to craft beer. Before that, the only like crafty kind of beer I had ever really had was like Blue Moon.
Oh, okay.
And
that's honestly not that bad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it's Blue Moon's chill. Like it's just an American wheat.
I remember going to like the Safeways and whatnot, our friend Meyer, and it was like Blue Moon Pyramid Brewing. Still there, that like it was called like it was their blonde, and it was like something Curveball. It might have been called Curveball, and it was like their blonde ale. But yeah, you had like Pyramid Red Hook, Full Sail. That was like in the craft beer aisle, and then eventually started seeing like Elysian pop up in Georgetown and Fremont and whatnot.
Yeah, no. So that was the first kick in the face that I got.
Yeah. So do you remember who gave you that beer?
I honestly don't even
remember. I was about to say congrats to them.
Yeah,
no. The homie. Yeah, shout out to the homie.
Yeah. But then as far as like actually brewing, I start really, I'd probably have to say Petrus Aged Pale was the beer that like made me think, you know what, I want to actually try to brew this. Partially because like I was like, wow, this is great. I could drink it every day, but I can't afford to drink this every day.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe I should learn how to brew my own Petrus Aged Pale.
Oh, there you go.
And then, so I start doing some research into home brewing, and I'm like, okay, maybe making, a sour Belgian Pale Ale is like, maybe that's a little, I got to walk before I'm running. So
yeah.
Me and my buddy went to the local homebrew store. We picked up a kit, made a Citra IPA on the stove.
Nice.
It was decent.
Did it come with like syrup or things like that, or did it actually have like hops in it?
DME.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, we had we used Citra hops.
Gotcha.
Whole cone. Turned out all right. I was just stoked that we made our own beer.
That you made beer.
Yeah. So I think I only did like one more extract batch, and then I was like, I was like looking at the cost efficiency because I'm always thinking about like, well, why am I going to pay somebody to make the extract when I can just like extract it from the grain myself?
Exactly.
So got into all grain brewing, and I guess the rest is history.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I want to run it back really quick. Petrus Aged Ale. That's actually a great, I think, because you already had your intro to craft beer, but people always have those ones that really, that's what sparked them into wanting to get into beer. I think mine was probably Saison DuPont, but this is because drinking at Pint Defiance, those beer tenders back then, God bless them, they were always like, listen, man, we know you're trying like grapefruit IPA and you think that's lovely, but like try some of this. Like try a Belgian like Trappist beer, try these things. And is it just a stock aged ale or is it Oud Brewing? I can see the label. I can't remember what style of beer it is.
I think it's just like a sour Belgian pale.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then that also introduced me to the idea of blending beers because back in the day, like Petrus, like they'd have like a blending box. Like it would come with their Oud Brewing.
Oh, wow.
And their aged pale and I think another beer and like a little like glass and stuff and like some like kind of like, a little like a booklet that's like...
That's so cool.
Explaining the process. That beer definitely kind of opened up the rabbit hole and
sent you on your way.
Yeah.
on this long, expensive, and sometimes depressing but super rewarding journey.
Yep.
It's a nice way to put it. Yeah. Okay, so going on from there, so getting into home brewing, and that's when we kind of reconnected. I was in Oregon. I think I was just hiking in Oregon and stopped by Great Notion and posted something like on my Instagram, and you hit me up. And it took me a minute because it's like, I know this person, and we'd, I think, seen each other in passing before at like other bars or places around here, but brought a beer back home. And that's where I remember hanging out with you around your home brewing equipment, and you were showing me in your carboys, like, oh, this is like, these are my spawn beers. And I remember just being blown away that you were doing all the work, research, and trying to, and doing it, what I thought was like a great job for a home brewer to have a spawn project going on. That's not something, a step that people take usually in home brewing. Usually it's like, let me do pale ales, and let me do hoppies, and then IPAs, and then, oh, as I get better, I'll start to do lagers. And you were just like, no, I'm going to go into some of the most intense traditional styles that you can do.
Yeah, like I said, Petrus aged pale, like that's kind of where I was like, no, I want to make sour beer. And I was really interested in all the different microbes that were involved in making those beers, and the fact that it was like something for like it's our local terroir.
Yeah.
That is literally fermenting the beer.
Yeah.
Those projects never came to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up sitting in carboys for a long time, and then they got moved from one house to another.
Yeah, life just happens.
Yeah, it ended up being just not worth it. But it was worth the experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, never actually came to fruition. But
yeah,
good times.
Is that something you've always been interested in terms of like where your ingredients come from? Kind of, I would say, like these funkier, a little less mainstream, projects that you do. I mean, what other than beer, like, are there other facets of your life that inspire that? I mean, I feel like a lot of like high-end chefs, they think like in a similar way, where it's like, yes, we have these basic ingredients, we know that we can make like this really wonderful dish that is simple, or you could really do the research and make something that is spectacular that people would never thought of.
So I guess when like late in high school, I started really getting into cooking. I wanted to be a chef like out of high school. Started working in the restaurant industry. Eventually had that love for commercial cooking beaten out of me by that restaurant industry,
Well
done. But what excited me about cooking was like the idea of like bringing in ingredients like that people wouldn't have thought about to a certain dish, and it's like, wait, you can't do that, and it's like, no, you can if you know, like, if you know how to finesse it,
Yeah.
It's not like, it might even be, oh, you shouldn't do that, and it's like, well, let's see how we can make this happen.
Yeah.
And make something that's pleasant.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that got me into home brewing, was the fact that I'd already been focused on flavor profiles and all that for a long time.
Yeah.
But then other beers that like were really inspiring to me early in my homebrew days were like the stuff that Great Notion was doing was obviously like they had some really wild stuff. Back then. In the early days of Great Notion, and then like Omnipollo.
Another good example.
I think I grabbed like the last milkshake IPA that was at Pint Defiance.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just like whoa, what the hell is going on here? That's really strange and really different. I want to do strange, weird shit.
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny because now I feel like my preferences for like the styles I prefer to brew have definitely calmed down and become a little more tame. Now I'm like, oh man, I just want to brew lagers.
Yeah. Well, especially too when you're running, like your head brewing an operation, it's always nice to have those creative projects, but you then sometimes have to realize that you may be the only person drinking it, even if it's not bad, even if it's just different, and people
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, this is nice, but it's not something I want to
It's
get a pint of."
I was gonna say,
you have to pay for that half barrel, or how many barrels you made of it.
give me a 10-ounce. Oh, that's nice. I'll drink one, and then all right, give me a Pils.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a good. I will say, not forgotten about Omni Pollo, but that was definitely during that period of time when Great Notion had popped up in Portland. We didn't really have like in your face hazy beers that were that aromatic, and then a lot of the stuff that they did with they do what's it called like double stack their imperial stout with like
muffin.
the blueberry muffin sour, and it is funny to me that I think for a while though, before we got the milkshake IPAs, Urban Family, they were doing a lot of that, and it wasn't gaining as much traction, even though I thought it was great. I remember they had like Limesicle was it was a lactose IPA, I think is what they called it back then. I was like, oh, this is a IPA with lactose in it, but it tasted, like creamy lime, and it was, like 6% and whatnot. And then Three Magnets did Juice Machine. There we go. And they did jumble juice and no.
Juice bar. What?
A Great Notion does Juice Box.
That's right.
It had a smoothie logo on the front of it, so it might have been like Big Juice Smoothie, and then they did Little Juice Smoothie,
right.
and they were still doing bombers back
Yep.
then. Yeah, and that was kind of, for me, that was my first intro because nothing around here was hazy back then. Everybody was still doing citrus IPAs. Ballast Point had just sold, and so everybody's doing citrus IPAs. Everything Session IPA was out. Goza was in for a quick stint, and you saw some fruited Gozas, which I do love. Fruited Goza, I think that's a great summer drink. But yeah, there was nobody really doing a lot of that in Tacoma, and I find that really inspiring. That for you, it's like pushing that boundary and understanding, being like, this is what you can do with beer. Now, when people are throwing, like salted nut bars or cake in the mash, I'm kind of like, okay, or like chicken and waffles. I'm like, maybe this is going a little too far.
Yeah.
But yeah. Breaking the boundaries for sure.
But that like kind of, I don't know. I guess that kind of brings me back to like the art that I did when I was growing up, like with graffiti. You see all the crazy stuff that people are doing when you when you have no clue what's going on and you first get into it. You're like, oh, I want to do this crazy looking thing with a million colors and a bunch of arrows and like I want it to be, like I want to do that crazy stuff. But you can't get to that point of like doing all the crazy stuff, the weird stuff. You can't like break all these rules until you know what the rules are. You
Very
know what
true.
I mean? So that's kind of the way I also think about brewing is like,
oh, interesting.
Right
on.
Yeah. Like you gotta like, as long as you can get a handle on the basics of everything and the quote unquote rules, then you can start purposely breaking those rules.
Yeah.
And you can do it in a way that isn't clunky or awkward or, it's like, oh, that's against the rules, but it's seamless.
100%. And kind of like you said with cooking too, I think you had a good way of saying like, how to finesse it. Like even if people say, oh, this isn't true to style or true to standard, it's like, yes, but it can work if you do it in this manner.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that point of view. Well, so now we come to always the great part of where did you start your brewing career? Obviously knowing you, I know where you started, but I want you to tell people where you started at.
So while I was home brewing, I realized, man, I want to make this into a career.
Yeah.
So I just started throwing applications at random, like whatever breweries were in Tacoma back then.
Which there wasn't a lot, too. I think it was
like Seven Seas,
Wingman, Seven Seas.
Geek Harbor?
Yeah, that's right. They're
Harbor?
over kind of like that South Tacoma part.
Yeah. Pacific
Brewing and Malting. Harmon and Odd Otter. And then there's also Dunnigan's, but he was like a micro brewery. And I don't even know if he's still in business, but it was And I guess E9, but they were more on 6th Ave.
Oh,
but,
yeah, that's right. How could I forget about E9?
Yeah, but there was the prospects were small.
Yeah, so I went in and I talked to the brewer at the head brewer over at the Harmon, and at first it sounded like there was no chance in hell I was getting a job in the brewery.
Mhm.
Like, he's like, oh, well, this guy's got a degree in this, and this guy went to brewing school, and da-da-da. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so you actually have to, like, have some kind of formal education.
Right.
Luckily, the the kitchen manager for the Harmon just so happened to be near, and he saw my resume, and he's like, huh, you have a lot of cooking experience. We need cooks. Maybe it'd be a good foot in the door.
Oh, there you go.
I was like, okay,
They
yeah,
kinda hooked you.
I could do that,
Yeah.
But first day I showed up to that kitchen, everybody in the kitchen was like, wait, they told you what? A good foot in the door to the brewer? Okay, dude,
Yeah.
you just
Everybody's
got,
like, you're never leaving
like
here.
you just got scammed, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I left this industry like very purposely, and
Yeah.
did I just re-enter it for a lie?
Oh, yeah.
But I busted my ass for like, I don't know, 8 months to a year there.
Mhm. And
always-
obviously you kept bothering them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was pretty much always talking about what I was doing at home as far as like home brewing.
Mhm.
So I impressed all the managers and all that. So every time they were over at the brewery, they'd be like, "Oh, hey, there's this cook downtown. He's like he won't shut up about brewing, and
Yeah.
and he's a fucking badass worker. So
Heck yeah.
maybe you should say what's up." I eventually met the other brewers, and I was like, hey, can I come in like on my days off and just like hang out, help you mash out, whatever. So I started doing that every once in a while, and eventually the head brewer quit, which kind of like had everybody move up.
Yeah. Everybody
Yeah.
has to shift to fill the hole.
Yep. And so then they were like, hey, we need some kegs washed.
The glorious first position.
Yep. So then showed up to the Harmon and had a mountain of kegs to wash, and yeah.
Just got after it.
Yeah, here I am.
Hell yeah. Okay. I do love, that kind of almost like salesman point of being like, this will be a good foot in the door. I'm glad that's dying out now.
Yeah.
It's just a sly way to, get a lot of free work out of somebody. So I'm glad now that there are avenues. But that was, it sounds weird to say back in the day, but this is, like 9 years ago, 9 or 10 years ago. But like that's how you got into a brewery. If you didn't go to like UC Davis or go to Siebel, usually they were like summer seasonal jobs was like cleaning kegs. My friends, when I was at community college, Rogue would hire seasonal workers to like clean out their fermenters and stuff. And because they were huge, and so they were there just like doing grungy work or doing warehouse work. But then they were like, if you do well, you can move up and move into the brewery. A lot of them just went into like warehousing there, but there wasn't. It was really hard to try to get your foot in the door and trying to be like, I want to learn about this, and they're like, great. Well, if you don't have experience, you can't work here. And it's like, well, how do I get experience if nobody's going to show me?
Yep.
It's like, oh, we're just feeding the machine the same problem. So started washing kegs. How long did it take for you and did you brew there? Like how did your climb look at Harmon?
So I tackled that mountain of kegs. Probably took like a month and a half or something.
Wow.
That was literally what I did for
Just nonstop.
Yeah. And eventually got rid of all the dirty kegs and started moving into the cellar, learning how to clean tanks, how to do transfers and all that kind of stuff. And then I don't know,
Nice.
I'd probably say like 6 months down the road. I think it was like 6 months down the road, the next head brewer
Gotcha.
also left. So that left some room to get on the brew deck. Yeah.
Everybody gets more work.
Yep.
Yeah. You get to learn stuff
Woo.
for free and don't get paid for it. It's okay though. Not really, but yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. Okay, so then that's how you got on the brew. And that took, so like from when you started washing kegs, that was like a 6 months to like 8 months?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a quick ramp up. That's impressive. Especially going from keg washing, and obviously you know about like brewing and brewing theory, but then dealing with all of kind of like the cellar and production work, all like the SOPs and how to do things efficiently. That's pretty quickly to learn all the skills. So props to you for that.
Hey,
I worked with cellar people that are like, I've been brewing for 15 years and they don't know how to thoroughly clean a tank, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So awesome. Do you have a favorite beer that you brewed at Harmon?
I can't even remember what it was called, but I remember I brewed it was a dark English mild.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
Before they were popular now.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
That beer was great.
Did you guys have cast machines at Harmon?
We did. We didn't really use them.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we had one at the downtown location, but usually weren't doing too much.
Gotcha. Yeah, weren't as popular. Yeah, for those, if you didn't grow up in the Northwest area, Harmon's been around for a long time. I don't know when they were founded. I want to say like the 80s, maybe.
They were they were like a few months after E9 opened.
Oh, okay,
Opened or
gotcha.
something.
Like in the 90s.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And they, and especially where we grew up, because they had places called like the Hub the Harmon, yeah. So the Hubs were like pizza places and kind of like pubs that had only Harmon beer on tap. And there's one in Gig Harbor near the airport. There was a hub in Tacoma, and then you have the Harmon facility downtown Tacoma, and then they had one in Stadium, correct?
Yep, that's where I was brewing.
Oh, you were brewing at the Stadium location?
Yep.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
The brewery was downstairs, and the hub was upstairs.
Gotcha. But yeah, they always had. I remember they had bomber bottles all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very like old school sort of branding. You know, it'd be like, Harmon Brewing Company. Galloping Gertie. Amber Ale, and it was just very quintessential, but also showcased that there was a lot of outdated things, because eventually no more bomber bottles. Everything switched to cans or smaller format, and also the kind of like the old school looks were really dying off and not selling as well, not nearly as eye appealing. And yeah, Harmon ended up. I don't know when they went totally out of business, but
A few months after I left.
Oh, okay, so you know the timeline. So yeah. So what happened with all of that? Because that's got to be hard for you. You were brewing at this time, and are you kind of like, yes, I've finally like hit one of my benchmark goals, like I'm brewing in a facility? How did that go for you when you learned that things were slowing down and you might have to find another job?
It wasn't even the fact that things were slowing down. Eventually, another brewer quit, and it was just me and the now head brewer. Basically, we kind of butted heads towards the end.
Difference of ideas.
I was kind of tired of having to explain diacetyl rest and stuff to the person I'm working under. And I remember one time I went away for vacation and I came back, and we were running low on IPA, and he's like, hey, we're going to run out of IPA. And I was like, yeah, I know. I told you like 3 times. And yeah, he wasn't the kind of person that liked to be told that he was wrong.
Gotcha.
So things got hostile, and I was just like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That unfortunately, it's a shame that people in this industry, there's still people like that, where I'm the boss, you're below me. You can't. I'm never wrong. That's a frustrating dynamic to work with. It also provides like a good learning lesson, though, unfortunately, because you're like, awesome. I now know that if I see or work with people like you, I know what I'm dealing with. I know that there's never going to be compromise, or you're not going to listen to logic. And this is part of me is sharing this from my personal experience, where I was just like, okay, unless I have another job lined up, how do I work with this person while also not like having it suck the soul out of me.
Yeah. And we're both here for fun.
Yeah.
Like I definitely didn't get into this industry to be stressed out all the time.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Actually, you know what?
Actually, on second thought. No, but my stress should not be coming from a person I got to work with. So
yeah, especially when it's other
time to
people's
move.
stress. When other people are putting stress on you, and they're like, "You fix it, you deal with it," and it's like, this isn't my job. This is not my responsibility. So
yeah,
good for you. So when Harmon closed down, were you able to jump immediately back into a brewery? Did you go beer tent somewhere?
When I left the brewery there, I literally just hit up my old chef from the Harmon and was just like, "Hey, man, here's the situation. I just need a job.
Yeah, need some work.
Like, I just need some money. Like, I just need a place that I know that I can go so that I can get the hell out of here."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Oh, yeah, dude, of course, I've got a spot for you."
Nice.
So went and did that for a few months, and then went and got a job at Craft Beers out in Auburn. Did that for like a year almost, and then
Brad, is that like a beer bar?
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
Yep. They've got like 30 or 40 taps.
Oh, okay. That's huge.
Yeah, they got a lot of taps.
Was it a bottle shop as well? Were you able to get to go or no?
Yep, bottle shop.
That's kind of a fun environment. You just now have this beer library that you're
it was really sick because, as a brewer, you don't about the trends that are going on and you keep up with them, but you don't get to literally try all the beers all the time. Because as a brewer right now, I don't always get to go out to other breweries.
Yeah. The best beer is free beer too. So.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I don't get to get out all the time. I don't get to go out to the bottle shops, and I don't get all the new hype stuff that's going on. So being there and literally receiving it and being like, "Oh man, I get a discount. I might as well give it a shot."
Yeah, try this.
Yeah, so it really gave me a good insight into where the industry was, what was selling.
Yeah.
And eventually my buddy Danny Schroeder, shout out to Danny.
Shout out Danny. Is he still at E9? No more?
So he left. He had just gotten promoted to head brewer at Odd Otter, but then he got offered a position over at E9, and so he left to go work under Shane for a while, and he called me up and was like, "Hey man, are you still trying to brew?" And I was like, I wasn't even sure if I'd ever get
back in. I know that feeling.
Another opportunity.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I'm leaving the head brewer position." I'm like, "Oh shit, really? I guess I'll do it."
That's a wild call.
Yeah, I took a pay cut. Beer tendon's super chill, pays well.
Yeah, and the tips too. That's the thing. It's the tips will always outshine a brewer's salary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, so where he's out at Braxton Brewing.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know because I met him I think through a year and we had similar friends because I think he was also at Silver City for a while. But this is also
where he started.
Oh, he started at Silver City, yeah. And Silver City, nothing bad about that company whatsoever. But I've known quite a few people. Around in the Northwest, or even just in the brewing community. Everybody jumps from one brewery to another, and so I know plenty of people have gone in, gone out from Silver City and Georgetown and things like that. So, gotcha. So then that's how you got into Odd Otter. What year was that? Do you remember?
It was 2020.
Oh, nice.
June 16th.
Oh, so this is COVID's happening.
Was it June 19th? It was June 19th.
Gotcha. So COVID is happening.
Yeah. So
that's wild to take over a head brewer position.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't a good idea.
Sorry, I don't mean it with that tone, but that's awesome. Just props to you. That was probably super stressful.
Honestly, it was kind of chill for a while because we weren't having. It might have been honestly a good time to get in because I wasn't like, we got to move beer. We got to like balls to the walls.
Yeah.
You know, move this production. It's like, it gave me a little bit of time to like, you know, see where I'm at, like, just take my time, you know?
Yeah. Did you see opportunity in terms of like being more creative here at Odd Otter than you did at Harmon?
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I'm the head brewer here. We have like a couple flagships. At the time, I think we had like 3 flagships, but otherwise, everything was just kind of up to whatever I wanted to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you have so I mean obviously now it's coming up on like 4 years of you being here at Odd Otter.
Yeah.
Do you have are there beers that you're super proud of? We can talk about if you want like have beers doing medals. I know about Odd Otter. I just want you to be able to tell like kind of like the evolution of when you started here at Odd Otter. Kind of like what you introduced. I believe that one of the first beers you did was a hazy beer, and there was a hazy competition in Tacoma, and you guys got an award for that or a medal for that. I don't know if Narrows put it on, but I believe it was Matt Rhodes from Narrows won an award. You won an award for a hazy, and I think it was E9 won the other award, and I think you won silver. But
I don't think we haven't won. Like we've what was it? We did Pint Defiance's Pale Ale competition last year.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we got pretty far in that bracket, but we have not actually won any medals since I've been here yet.
Gotcha.
But I'm definitely aiming for Washington State Beer Awards this year. Yeah.
I mean, this isn't being objective, but Odd Otter's quality has gone up, and that's nothing against Danny whatsoever. But since you've been brewing here, how do you feel the path or projection of the beer is going? And especially like the beer market is super hard to it changes so fast. It changes like every 2 years.
Breakneck speed.
Yeah, and it's like some trends feel like, oh, you should get on this, and then that trend is dead like 6 months later, and it's never.
By the time it's done fermenting, it's like, oh yeah, nah, that was last week.
Yeah, we moved on. But so how do you feel about kind of like the direction of where the beer is going for Odd Otter Brewing?
I'm pretty stoked. Like I think our IPAs are definitely like all of our hoppy beers are. I feel like I've modernized them and moved them. Like,
still using crystal malt?
Hell no. No.
I heard that when you did a podcast.
I was going to say, this will not be the first podcast that I say crystal malt does not belong in IPAs.
Yeah. Trust me, I agree. What's funny is probably 5-10 years from now, there will be a revival of like the old school IPA where it's like a heavy crystal malt.
It's going to be crystal malt,
Chinook,
and Cascade and Centennial. They're going to be like, yo, this is some old school shit.
Yeah, bring it back.
Yeah, nah, please don't.
Yeah, please.
I mean, bring back the Chinook.
Yeah.
Underappreciated hop.
Yeah, but so beer direction you feel is going good. You've modernized a bunch of their recipes. And part of that, do you think that's been helpful? Because again, you work as a cook and a chef and as a brewer, working with ingredients. Were you able to update or modernize, the malt that you get or the hops that you use or even the practices? Can you expand a little bit on that?
So really, right now, one of my biggest things is like trying to make beer more pale. Especially when it comes to IPAs. So
like more of that like gold color, not
like,
so dark towards like the amber resin kind of looking.
Yeah. So that's definitely a big thing. Process wise, just really dialing in like fermentation, dialing in like when I dry hop. Still trying to figure out, kind of like we were talking about earlier, like where I want to fall as far as pounds per barrel. So still moving.
Dialing that in.
Yeah. But how else have I made? Oh, salt additions, water chemistry. I feel like as time's gone on, I've gotten a little bolder Using a little more of a heavy hand on my salt additions, depending on the beer, obviously.
Yeah.
And then also, in my lager beers, I've also just backed off a lot on most of my salt additions.
Gotcha. Kind of let the yeast do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna be doing a Czech Pils later this week, so.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah, might up the salt additions on that one.
Yeah, for that.
A little more a little more minerality, round out the mouthfeel, you know.
Oh yeah, it's always super nice too. Especially, it's been super nice here the past week, which is I feel like unheard of. It was like rainy and cold and snow, and then
it's coming right back tomorrow.
Exactly. Everybody's been outside, and now everybody's gonna get their seasonal depression right back.
Yep. It comes in waves.
Yeah, 100%. Well, good. That's exciting. Definitely. The Quetzal Pale. I had that last time when I was here, and that was such an awesome beer. And is that one of our flagships?
That was one of our flagships.
Okay.
We recently did get new ownership, and we're kind of like in the middle of like revamping everything. Yeah. So that I decided that hazy pale ale fits our customer base a little better than American Pale Ale.
Yeah.
So we'll probably do Quetzal every once in a while. But our new, we're actually drinking the Otter Fuzz hazy pale
which
ale
was great,
right
by the way.
Thank
it was
you.
great. I really like the carb on it too. Again, we talked about this earlier, but that kind of like little bit spritzier allows the aromas to really hit your nose more. Sometimes with hazies, there's not like a good carb or a good head on it, and you almost have to like stick your nose in the beer to smell it, and you're like, oh man, I wish it would just kind of come up.
Yeah, I definitely try. I like to drink beer in mass quantity, and I like to brew beer that I like to drink. So,
I think it's a good ethos.
Yeah, when I brew my hazies, I try not to make them giant, chewy, you know, like 1 pint and you're done kind of beers.
Yeah.
So I try to find a good balance of drinkability.
Yeah.
And
100%.
But still get that soft mouthfeel.
Yeah.
So.
Well, especially where you're at. I mean, Odd Otter's down on Pack Ave, and there's a ton of bars and restaurants, a ton of foot traffic. And when you're having heavy beer, people aren't going to be walking that far. And if people aren't walking that far, they're not spending money. It makes it harder. So having something that is super quaffable and like easy drinking, it's going to have people coming in here all night long because they're going to be bouncing from place to place to place, is what I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. Let's grab another beer.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, back drinking this lovely cream ale. What are you excited for this summer for things that are coming out of Odd Otter?
The beers that I'm excited for. We have our American Light Lager returning.
Oh, nice.
I'm just mostly excited about that for myself.
Yeah, just easy drinking.
Yep. We've got a new hazy coming out that I think is going to be really cool. It's got a little touch of Nelson. It's like Nelson, Mosaic, and El Dorado.
Oh, nice. I love El Dorado.
Oh, wait, and it's also really showcasing the newly named hop Allura.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
How is that? Have you used it in any other beers?
I actually did use it in a version of our beer called Shattered Gold, like last year before it got its name.
Was that another hazy?
Actually, so it was like a unfiltered juicy IPA. So
Yeah.
not quite a hazy, but it's like leaning into that
Gotcha.
juice. And that was just a straight up Mosaic and Allura, or a experimental 17701 or something.
Gotcha.
Whatever the hell it was back
Whatever
then.
the number is, the little serial code. What do you get? Because I've never heard or used Allura. What do you find that you get out of that hop?
It's got a really interesting like yuzu fruit, like really interesting, like herbaceous citrus.
Okay.
Like and like some tropical notes, but yeah, I'd say like the citrus component of it is the most interesting because it really isn't like a typical, orange or tangerine or lime or lemon. It's like got a very unique character to it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, is that going to become that? You said Goldfish Brain, hazy pale, hazy IPA.
So that's going to be a hazy IPA.
Gotcha. Is this going to be core, or is it going to be seasonal? Is that something you can say, or no?
Right now it's just going to be a one-off.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Kind of just seeing how it does.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Right now we're aiming to have like our flagships be our Otter Melon, my favorite beer.
Yeah, explain that one. It's been around for a long time. I've had it plenty of times.
So Otter Melon, I don't know which brewer way back in the day brewed it, but it's supposed to be like a American Hefeweizen with watermelon extract.
Okay.
Like, so the watermelon's kind of like in place of the clove banana flavors that you
I can see
might
that.
expect from like a traditional hef.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'd call it it's the watermelon American wheat.
Yeah.
That's what I'd call it. But, it's our best seller. People go crazy for it.
It's a great, especially on a sunny day. Like, it's a great summer drinker for sure.
Yeah, I personally just I don't like it as much as our customers do. I don't know, maybe because to me it like the extract tastes like a watermelon Jolly Rancher.
Oh, a little too sweet.
Yeah, and just like fake. Like it tastes like extract to me. But our customers love that beer. There was one time that I let it run out in favor of a beer called Strawberry Nom Nom, which is pretty much the same beer but with strawberry. And I was getting notes every single night in like the bar log, like random guy drove 2 hours to fill up 4 growlers of Ottermelon and was really upset that we didn't have Ottermelon.
Yeah.
Where is the Ottermelon? Where is the Ottermelon? I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay, I get it. I'll never ever let this beer run out ever again. I seriously thought I was about to get hung at the stake.
There you go. That's a nice little segue into, because there's always lessons that we learn in the brewery, and I always like to ask, do you have a lesson that sticks out in mind to you? You don't have to use that example. I think that's a good one. That maybe never running out of one of the customer's favorite beers.
Yeah.
In place for being creative or what you want to do, which is expand and teach people about other things.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I guess my biggest piece of advice would be like, take your time.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're all in a production environment, so we need to keep it moving, but double check yourself. I've lost like half of a batch of beer because when I was like purging the lines between tanks, I left a valve open, and then there was a completely opaque tube connected to that valve.
Oh, so you
that
can't
was
see.
Going right into the trench drain. So I had no idea that I was both transferring into a bright tank and straight down the fucking drain.
Yeah.
When the Sightglass went empty and I was only like 3.5 barrels in, I was very, very bewildered,
very confused.
And then I went back to like
you walk the line to see.
And then I go over to the sump pump pit, and there's just a giant, massive brown foam coming out because I was transferring a dry Irish stout.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That heart-sinking feeling, like, what? How can I fix? You can't fix this.
Yeah.
You can't get beer.
Accepting defeat.
Yeah, no, that was. Triple checking things, like that tube that I was talking about. The moment I'm done purging my lines now, that tube is always removed. It is gone.
off.
It is. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So
that's good. triple check and take your time it's so valuable.
Accidentally, one time I accidentally took a valve. Like, I don't even remember what I was trying to do, but I removed a tri-clamp behind a valve instead of in front of it.
Been there, done that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Slammed my palm up against the port and just yelled,
Help.
help.
Yeah.
And then, you got to do the whole, like, quick switch. And we only lost, like, half a barrel, but it was, like, literally a Brett Saison. And I was just doused.
Oh, yeah.
Doused in Brett Saison,
You're like,
baby.
nice. Yeah,
Come home to the wife and be like, you
like my aroma? Yeah. Yeah, you're always taught, I think, in a lot of breweries that there's always work to be done, which it is true, but taking your time and keeping track of things is just as important as cleaning. It's just as important as quality control. Yep. I was at Freem, and we were bottling, and I was training a new person on the bottling machine, and we were getting it set up, and there was an issue. One of the rods came down and wasn't in line, so it hit the glass bottle, and it gets it all out of alignment. So I was telling them how to troubleshoot it, and I was closing valves on our product line, and we had to, I forget, it was like depressing the system. Anyways, I did what you did. I was like talking, looking at him, and I took the hose off the valve before it, and it blew, and it's a full tank, pressurized with CO2 still on it, blowing hazy IPA, like popped it off, and it was just cartoonish, just shooting into my face. And in like a full second, my brain was like, wait, why is this happening? And then I just bent the hose over, bent in half, which again, you shouldn't do, but I was like, dude, I'm stopping this massive loss. They closed the valve on the bottom, and that was like my first beer shower ever in the industry. But
damn,
it was one
took that long?
Yeah, it took about 6 years, but I finally did it. But yeah, sometimes just checking and making sure that you're not doing too many things at once, because that's also where mistakes happen when you're spread too thin.
When I dumped half that batch of that Irish Stout, I was trying to clean kegs, and I was also like cleaning a fermenter, and I think and like doing some paperwork as well.
Yeah,
I was like, oh no, I could do 5 things at once. It's fine.
Yeah, I think
now when I do transfers, I'm there doing
that's
transfer.
what you're focused on.
Yeah, I don't.
As it should be.
Yeah.
I think for a long time it's been a badge of honor to be able to do 20 things at once in a brewery. But then you also begin to see like faults or where things fall through, and it's not meant on those people, but those people will always inevitably say it's like, well, yeah, I was doing 20 things at once, and it's like, cool. Well, you should be set up for success. Then you shouldn't have to do 20 things at once. Like, find and be able to do a few things and do them really well, as opposed to do 20 things that could possibly end up in accidents or loss and waste and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good lesson. Well, we about hit our mark, Ben. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? Odd Otter, fun things coming up. Do you guys have festivals, new beers? Floor is yours to just explain.
We're going to be going to a beer fest in Bellingham pretty soon here.
Oh, nice. What beer fest is that? It's a beer fest?
I'll be there.
Gotcha. I like that. You'll be there. Is it like April, May, or is it coming up here quick?
It's like next month.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So sometime in April?
Yeah.
Cool. Bellingham is such a sweet area.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're up north, you got to go drink some chuckanut.
Oh, yeah. Chuckanut. Structures, too, has been putting out some really good lagers as well. Yeah.
Hop and Brew School this summer.
Oh, nice. Out in Yakima?
Yep.
Nice.
Definitely going to do my best to attend again.
Nice.
That'll be like 3rd year in a row. So
sweet.
Yeah, man. What else is going on? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to make new beers and like rework our new flagships and get them where I'm trying to go. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, dude, thank you for sitting down. I'm excited to see Odd Otter and where it's going to go. So appreciate the time, Shelby.
Of course, man.